white-black, sort of Death and Taxes, sort of Dead Guy AL deck play against Merfolk. I actually think the black-white deck is pretty heavily favored here.
Yeah.
He has Mother of Runes, Stoneforge Mystic, even Squadron Hawk, all these very powerful tools against a Merfolk deck.
Yes. You see Ben Lundquist on the left, Daniel Nowak on the right. Dead Guy Ale versus Merfolk. Gonna roll some dice. We'll see who's gonna be on the play here. It is gonna be Daniel. As Ben does roll a 6, Daniel rolls a 7. Ben will tell you that's standard for him. But we know the truth.
Ben Lundquist lost a exciting or heartbreaking, depending on what side of the fence you were on, Game 5 against Brian Brondawin in the top 8 of the Invitation in Atlanta a couple weeks ago. Lost playing for top 8 in the Standard Open yesterday to our eventual champion.
No one said it would be easy.
No, it never is.
And Ben is going to take a mulligan down to 6 here, so certainly getting a little bit tougher for the curious case.
Yes, of Benjamin beatdowns.
That's right. So his Merfolk deck here, if you guys have not seen the list before, or haven't got to check out his Invitational Top 8 list or his video, 4 Curse Catcher, 4 Silver Yellow Adept, 4 Lord of Atlantis, 4 Master of the Pearl Trident, 4 Marrow Rejuvenate to go along with 1 Phantasmal Image. His spells, of course, include 4 Aether Vial, 4 Daze, 4 Force of Will, and then he has 2 Spell Pierces, 2 Dismembers, and 3 Standstills. So Ben is a big fan of Dismember in this deck. I know that this was incorporated at some point to be able to take care of Stoneforge Mystic. It's going to go a long way here in being useful, as Daniel does have 4 copies of that in his deck. Some people decided to move away from Standstill at some point. There was this influx of Phantasmal Images once Gristlebrand had gotten very popular, and you do see that Ben does have a holdover of that with one of those. Standstill had gone away, but he's brought them back, and he has 3 copies of it.
No, Benny's a huge, huge Standstill fan. He feels it's your best card in the deck in a bunch of matchups. Doesn't want to have 4 because it's not great all the time, not necessarily good in multiples, but he definitely is a big advocate of the card.
Just how Ben likes to play Magic. Give me some extra cards.
Yeah, just draw some cards.
It's funny to watch Ben play Esper in Standard, and those sorts of decks typically in Standard, some slow grinding, think twice decks in Standard. And then in Legacy, well, he is, with the Islands here, trying to give the beatdowns with the Merfolk deck.
I actually think that Ben Lundquist as a player is much more confident playing the Delver Merfolk decks of the world. He definitely has, obviously plays a lot of Esper, has some pure control roots to him, but I think he would actually rather play more of an aggro control blue deck.
No.
This is more of his wheelhouse.
So here is Deathrite Shaman to start the show here for Daniel. Does have a fetch shot in the graveyard as well, so that is going to be able to accelerate among other things.
Yep.
Ben going to draw an island for the turn. Let's see if he has an Aether Vial or anything fun to do, and he does not. Just does pass the turn back. So Daniel will draw another Deathrite Shaman. You see a Volrath Stronghold, a Wasteland, 2 Swords to Plowshares, and it looks like a discard spell here as well, potentially.
I believe it's a Thoughtseize.
That's what it is.
Ben perhaps having flashbacks to his match against Brian Brondawin, where a very similar set of cards, Plow and Thoughtseize and Deathrite Shaman, were instrumental in picking apart his board.
You do see a hand there of 2 Master of the Pearl Trident, a Marrow Rejury, a Force of Will, an Island, and a Mutavault. So with those 2 swords available to Daniel, those lords are going to get picked off pretty easily. But we'll see how Ben's draw steps are, see if he can recoup some advantage.
Somewhat surprised to see Force of Will selected, as that's among the lower power cards that Ben has in the matchup. Rather, if Daniel's pushing through Stoneforge Mystic this turn, it makes some amount of sense. But just to take it, the best thing it can do is protect one of his creatures. But at that point, you can just take a creature as well.
So we'll see Daniel remove his fetch land for Deathrite Shaman, give himself some mana, play the other one, as Ben's going to come out here with the Master of the Pearl Trident. Daniel take a draw step. It is another Scrubland. Swords to Plowshare is going to clear that out of the way. Ben's going to get himself 2 life, move up to 22. And here comes a Deathrite.
1 back to do some draining.
Ben going to untap. He's going to draw a Standstill to draw for the turn. So he can't play that Mutavault, which would expose that to Wasteland, but he's perfectly okay with that, as here is a Marrow Rejury, as Ben has drawn a Lord of Atlantis in the meantime. Deathrite Shaman going to take care of Forcible. Ben going to move down to 19 now on his end step. Wasteland taking care of Mutavault here as well. So Daniel is going to untap Swords of Plowshares, Volfrash, Stronghold, and now a Battered Skull.
Which he can actually hard cast this turn.
Yes. Does he have enough? Yeah, Wasteland in his graveyard, Mutavault and Ben's. So
Yep.
he does have the lands to be able to do that. Yikes. This is the card that basically pushed Merfolk off the map. Us getting into the Stoneforge Mystic was far too much to deal with. Now you see Daniel activating both Deathrite Shamans, playing a Battered Skull, and hoping that Ben doesn't have a counterspell, and he doesn't. So Battered Skull with the Germ Token going to come into play, and now we got an uphill battle here for Lundquist. So he will untap. He is going to draw Aether Vial to draw for the turn. Master the Pearl Trident. He's going to untap his land, do the Reach activation. Here is an Aether Vial, and he does just pass the turn back with 2 3/3 Lords in play.
And actually, if he can get a 4 total Lords in play, it's going to be very hard to do against Plow. But he can actually, the Sandstill is still not necessarily a dead card.
Yeah. So here's
It's going to be rough.
Yeah, here's Swords to take care of the Reejery. Ben going to gain 3 life from that, as they are 3/3 Lords. He's going to move to 22. But Daniel is cardless now. He does have good cards in play, of course, with a Battered Skull and 2 Deathrite Shamans. But if you're Ben, you're kind of happy at least a little bit about that without any cards anymore. You know, I can draw off some running cards and actually get myself back in this game as Ben does draw. What are you?
Is it a Curse Catcher, perhaps?
Yep, it is a Curse Catcher. So here's a Standstill.
And Ben's plan now is to vial out, get his vial to 2, hopefully draw enough Lords where he can just, you know, force Daniel to break the Standstill.
Yep. And so now Daniel is going to break that Marsh Flats. Going to deal a little bit of damage to himself. He's going to search out a land. So the big question here is, can Ben beat the Battered Skull? And the fact that Daniel can move it around, return it, and re-equip it. That's the tough thing for them, for the Merfolk deck to be able to deal with.
It is going to be challenging, to say the very least.
Especially when there's no islands over there to swim across.
Yeah, this is very much like all the cards that Brian Bronwyn had against Ben that were very powerful, minus islands.
Yeah, yeah, which makes it makes it very difficult for him. So you're going to see Deathrite Shaman activations here. Ben going to take some damage from that. Daniel going to draw a card, draws another Swords to Plowshares, and in comes Battered Skull yet again. We'll see a shift in life. Let's see if Ben's going to activate this Aether Vial here to put the Curse Catcher in. Yep, he is. So, activate Aether Vial. In comes Curse Catcher. Going to be a 2/2 because of the Master. Ben going to untap, take his Vial up to 2, draw a card. See if he's feeling a little frisky or not.
I don't think he's feeling frisky yet.
And he does just pass the turn back. So it's going to be on back over to Daniel here.
And Daniel basically having the one card in his deck that's basically good enough that it's worth considering breaking the Sandstill.
Yes.
His 3rd copy of Swords to Plowshares.
And he's not going to break it here. He's going to remove his Swords to Plowshares, put Ben down to 8. 8 to 24 is going to be your life totals as Daniel does draw a card. Draws a Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. A card not worth breaking Standstill over. As here comes Battered Skull yet again. We think. Okay, there it comes.
This is a pretty rough spot for Ben because if he takes this hit, even if Daniel does break the Standstill, just random Deathrite Shaman shots could be enough to finish it out from here.
That's the big issue. Ben going to activate Aether Vial. Going to put in a Lord of Atlantis, bolster his army. As So now we have all 3/3 fishies in play. Tough part for Ben here is, do I want to put all my guys in front of this? I'm going to have to lose some stuff. You can re-equip your Batter Skull with your Deathrite Shaman activation because he does have a land in the graveyard. It's a very, very difficult and uphill climb here for Lundquist, because he is going to triple block here with the Master, with the Lord, and with the Curse Catcher. Source of Plowshare is going to try to break this up, targeting the Lord of Atlantis.
So it's going to break the standstill?
Yep. 1, 2, and 3. You see a Daze there, among others.
Doesn't look like there's a Force of Will in those cards.
Yep. Oddly enough, this still isn't a disaster for Ben. The reason is, yes, those are all 3/3s. Here's the Swords is going to resolve. So Ben's going to gain 3 life. But you have a 2/2. You have a 2/2 Master, and then a Curse Catcher. So those will trade with a Germ Token. It's not ideal, but they will trade. So we'll get this thing out of the way. Now Thalia's going to come down post-combat, it looks like. Yep. So here's your Thalia. Can't daze it. Daniel does have mana available both with that land and with Deathrite Shaman. And Ben's going to leave the Vial on 2. He's going to draw a card. It's a Master of the Pearl Trident.
Is that a Phantasmal Image in his hand?
That is a Phantasmal Image.
An ideal, Ben can cast one of his lords, and there's a reasonable chance that Daniel puts the Batter Skull onto Thalia because his Deathrite Shamans have utility as activated creatures, and then Ben can vial in Phantasmal Image, copy Thalia, and get another turn reprieve of Batter Skull hits.
Now the draw for Daniel this turn is an Umezawa's Jeet. Yikes. Here's looking at you, kid.
Ben A.
Hey, cards are in the deck to draw them.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so there's Umezawa's Jeet.
Has to pay 3 because Thalia's in play, of course. There's still a very good chance this goes on Thalia.
You're going to remove a land here, equip, target Thalia, attack. We'll see if he makes the Phantasmal Image play that you speak of to copy the Thalia through the Aether Vial. Looks like it's his best option, really.
Yep.
Yeah, so copy that, clear that out of the way. You see the power of Phantasmal Image. That card surfaced because of its ability to one-up an Emrakul and a Gristlebrand. That's why it surfaced originally, and that's kind of what brought Merfolk, back on the map.
Benny somehow kind of keeping his head above water here.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel's over there at 28 with a Batter Skull and Umezawa's Jeet in play. I mean, Ben is trying.
He's way behind, but given the cards that have been played by Daniel right now, Ben is doing an admirable job of keeping himself in the game. The Umezawa's Jeet complicates things quite a bit further, unfortunately, for Ben.
So here's a Master of the Pearl Trident. Daniel being cardless means all these things are going to resolve.
If we were just playing against the Batter Skull, we would have a shot. Every Dismember we drew would be very powerful.
Yep.
I mean, but now it's really uphill.
So let's see what Daniel's able to find this turn. As he does untap, moves to his upkeep, draw. Gonna find a Squadron Hawk.
Another excellent draw here. Oh boy. Right when it looked like Ben might be able to slog through the Jit on the ground, now this happens.
Yep. And Daniel's gonna go to the skies. Black Hawk not down.
No,
not
way
down
up
right now.
These have been some very fortuitous draws for Daniel.
Hey, it's all part of it.
Oh yeah.
It's Hawk number 1, 2, and 3.
There are 4 in the deck.
There are.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I thought he only found, did he find 3? Or?
No. 1, 2, and 3 in his hand. 4th one in play.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. My bad.
If we found a 4th one, we would have to have a conversation
yes.
with a man in a blue shirt. So So he's going to equip the Deathrite Shaman. And real tough guy that Elf Shaman is. Getting a Violin here. A Silver Gill Adept. Draw a new card. It's a Dismember.
Again, that's like another draw that helps.
Tried so hard. Got so far. I don't know the rest of the lyrics of that song by Linkin Park. I don't remember them anymore. 2G counters here. Finish off the Silver Gill.
Again,
pass the turn back.
Ben would have some shot of kind of tempoing a little bit here, but Daniel's life total is so high from all those battered skull hits.
Yeah, that's the problem. He's at 28.
Well, there's numerous problems.
Yeah.
It's not just the one. But the Dismember again, he's basically got to hope that Daniel tries to get too fancy moving Batter Skull around.
Yeah.
If he takes up his whole turn doing that, then the Dismembers become very powerful.
So here come both Lords. That's going to be an attack for 6. There's a Mutavault. Let's pass the turn back. So Daniel's going to untap. 3 Squadron Rocks in hand. It's going to add... What does he add to that?
Wasteland, I believe.
Ugh. That's going to take care of Mr. Mutavault. 5 mana, equip. I don't think Ben can dismember this fast enough.
Yep.
So Squadron Hawk down. Yeah. So now Ben gets a mini Time Walk there.
Yep.
Look at the fight.
He's trying so hard.
Clawing with the Merfolk deck because he draws a Wasteland of his own. But he is just at 5 life now. Wasteland the Wasteland.
I mean, he can just attack with one guy and cast Standstill, right? And hope that Daniel just misses drawing a land.
That's an option.
All right.
There's a Standstill. He's gonna play complete defense here. Daniel draws a card. It's a Mother of Runes. Okay.
I don't think Daniel has a bad card in his deck against Merfolk.
No,
I think every single card he's drawn has been really good.
Every card that he can draw in this situation, he's in the enviable situation where like all of his draws are good. And Ben's going to draw 3 cards: Forcible, Island. He's in that enviable situation where almost every card he draws is good right now.
Even his lands are good draws because he has Batter Skull.
Yeah. So Squadron Hawk resolves. That Standstill did not net very much for Ben. Now here's a Mother of Runes. And Ben is forced to pull the trigger on his Force of Will.
But now the issue is the Force of Will. Playing Force of Will puts Ben at 4, which now means 2 Deathrite Shaman hits are just lethal.
Yep.
So Ben's sort of just being squeezed on all sides here.
The proverbial walls are closing in on this game for Lundquist, as he has the Force of Will, a 1/1 that would have a significant impact on this game otherwise. But by going down to 4, the Deathrite Shaman is going to have a nice impact as well. Going to remove a land here to the Deathrite Shaman. Squadron Hawk going to come in. Daniel just pass the turn back. Ben going to draw a card. It's a Daze to go along with Island. And while Ben tried to play to his outs the best he very, very could, I don't know if he's going to be able to get this one. Doesn't look like it. He's going to fire at Mutavault. Hope that Daniel makes a mistake.
Yeah, he basically needs Daniel to chump block twice to have another shot at it.
So there's your first chump block. Penalty on 6, win of 16.
Contemplating using Volrath's Stronghold.
For Commander Pod number 3, we are now meeting at the side of its
Put the Mother Roots back on top.
Once again,
This is a pretty big deal for Ben. If he's casting Mother Runes, it means he's not putting Jin on his Squadron Hawk.
Yep. Well, he is now.
Okay.
So across we go. Hawk with a sword in its mouth. Puts Ben down to 3. 2 counters on. Pass the turn back. Lundquist untaps, he draws. It's a Silver Gill Adept. He's going to tap that, he's going to draw a new card. This one is a Marrow Reachery.
How much damage are we looking at now?
Two 3/3 lords. He plays a lord, those guys become 4/4s. And then the this guy will be a 5/5. So it's going to take 13.
Joseph Allen and John Galley.
So these are all 2, 3, 4, 8, 13 is my count?
Yeah, a 5/5, a 4/4, and a 4/4.
I mean, Benny is making an admirable showing of this.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be enough.
Yeah,
okay.
and he is going to concede the game here after the damage is resolved. So Daniel Nowak is going to be up a game right now against with that guy, against Ben Lundquist playing Merfolk. Take a look at sideboards here. Ben with plenty of one-ofs as he's going to be on the play this game. You find 1 Dismember, 1 Kira Great Glass Spinner, a Phantasmal Image, an Umezawa's Jite, Pithing Needle, a Spell Pierce, a Hydroblast, 3 Relic Progenitus, 3 Submerge, and 2 Echoing Truce. One thing that he can do here, Patrick, is he can actually copy a Stoneforge Mystic with Phantasmal Image, search up his Jeet, be able to kill one or actually take advantage of the one that he does have. So that's a nice backdoor play he has access to. Great Glass Spinner, a decent card in this matchup, but not great. Dismember is certainly going to come in and be very, very useful. We could also see him bring in the Pithing Needle as well, as it can shut down both Stoneforge Mystic and the equipment that it does search up.
Yeah, I know from talking with Benny that both Pithing Needle and Phantasmal Image plus Jit are all part of the anti-Stoneforge Mystic plan.
Sure.
So all those cards are going to be incorporated. The fact that Umezawa's Jite is also good against Daniel, if Ben is able to just randomly get it on a creature, it's just extra upside. But that Jit plus Phantasmal Image will be coming in regardless.
Yep.
On the other side of the table, Daniel has basically the haymaker to end all haymakers in this matchup, which is Humility.
Ugh.
If Humility gets in play, Ben's deck is pretty close to non-functional, and there's a good chance that Ben is going to be cutting some of his Force of Will, Daze, Spell Pierce type effects here because they're not very good. I think Force of Will is going to stay in. A lot of his other counters are probably going to hit the bin, and Humility is pretty close to lights out. On top of this, Daniel also has Duress, 3 copies of Liliana, 2 Disenchants, and 3 Lingering Souls, all of which are medium, but depending on how much he wants to be basically moving all in on a Humility plan, maybe we see Duress come up, maybe we see Lingering Souls come up.
Okay. Humility plan's certainly good in this matchup.
Yes,
If
it
he can
is,
get there in
it
time.
is lights out.
Yep.
I mean, there is basically nothing Merfolk can do once that card's in play.
Yep.
And I doubt Ben is going to bring in Echoing Truth, although if he sees Humility somehow and also somehow wins the game, you may see Echoing Truth coming for game 3. But I don't think he's going to bring that card in the dark.
Yeah, 2 copies of that in the sideboard. And that's a card I feel as well that would be a little surprising if he did bring that in this situation. Yes, it can bounce a Batterskull or that Germ token, so there are certainly some things that he can do with it, but I would be surprised if he did bring it into this game.
I would be stunned if it was in for this game, but if he knew about Humility, I'm confident he would be bringing it in.
Yes.
Just not information he has.
So Lundquist is going to be on the play here for game numero dos. See both players laying out their hands. think Ben understands that this is probably a tough matchup for him, as all of Daniel's cards are really good against him.
Looks like Benny has Vile stand still.
The Dream.
Yep.
There's your Vial. Has the island too.
Stoneforge Mystic, multiple Thought Seizes, and a Plow, it looks like.
Is he willing to force this? That's a good question.
No, he has no standstill. I'm sorry, it's 2 Force of Wills.
A Regery, 2 islands. Takes the Force of Will. Leaving Ben with a Force of Will, a Regery, and a couple of lands. So we'll see what Ben's draw steps can be able to net him here. Because you saw him lead off with a Mutavault as well, maybe trying to induce a Wasteland, but at the very least he can get in for 2 points of damage with it. That's what he's going to do.
Yep.
So Daniel's going to pass the turn back. He's going to draw a card. You see Stoneforge Mystic in his hand right now. You see a Thought Seize. Thought Seize number 2 is going to come out here.
I think you're going to see him Wasteland this Mutavault.
Uh-huh. So Ben's going to untap. Vile's going to take up to do. He's going to draw a card. It's a Marrow Regery. Pass to the turnbacks. Daniel draws a card. Lingering Souls. There's your White Swords. Here's your Stoneforge Mystic.
And this allows Daniel to chain into a pretty devastating sequence of Stoneforge into Lingering Souls into Jit on Flyer. He's going to go get Batterskull instead. Batterskull is a card that Ben's actually a little bit better equipped to fight over because that's happening on the ground. And it's harder for Daniel to move it around if Benny is able to do something about the Germ. In contrast to Jit, which is basically just lights out if it ever connects once.
Yep. Ben's going to play Marrow Regery and just pass the turn back. So you see a handful, you see a Batterskull and 2 Lingering Souls, I believe that's Daniel's hand to go along with his lands.
Yep.
So, not the best hand, but certainly not a poor hand either, as a Vile is going to put a Marrow Regery into play. Ben's going to untap, he's going to draw. Can't make out what that was.
Is this Force of Will, maybe? No, it's some sort of Merfolk.
Looks like it's a fishy. And it is a fishy.
So I think you're going to see Lord of Atlantis here and 2 Regery triggers. Now, these lords are going to be moving up to 4/4s. So still not anything that wants to brawl with Batterskull.
Few things do. So he's going to tap a Flooded Strand and a land. So here comes your Stoneforge Mystic activation, we believe. That's going to put the Batterskull into play. Germ Token going to come on. So he's going to sacrifice that Flooded Strand. Is Daniel to search out a land.
Daniel with a hand of lands and Lingering Souls.
Yep. So Ben is willing to make this trade here. Threaten a 3rd Regery. As those guys are 4/4s because of the lords in play. And it looks like Daniel is happy to make this trade. Yes, he is.
Yep, for sure. He gets to blunt the attack, and he's got, you know, the long game is absolutely on his side with the cards that he has. It's just about surviving the short term.
So he does draw another Stoneforge Mystic to go along with those lands and those Lingering Souls. So he is able to find Azumazawa's Cheat now as well. So he's going to let it linger.
Remember, he has already got 5th land in hand, so...
Yep. So he can play and equip. There's some nice Batman tokens out there in the form of the Penguin and Batman himself.
Not the more critically acclaimed of the Batman films.
I like that Batman. So here comes a Lord and a Regery. Danny DeVito made a nice penguin, Patrick. All right.
And Ben picked up a Wasteland this turn. I believe he'd want a Lord here, ideally. but he's also perfectly happy keeping him off of Batterskull for one more turn.
All right, so here's Wasteland. Gonna take out one of those black-white duels. Pass turn back. Dana gonna untap. He's gonna draw. He finds a Wasteland of his own to go along with the Caracas. Now he can cast a Stoneforge Mystic and flashback Lingering Souls all on the same turn if he'd like. Lingering Souls does get flashback. A little ahead of himself. Yep. One of those spirit tokens is not summoning sick, because now you're going to see him play that Stoneforge Mystic. Now you can reach for your library, Daniel, and search for Nuzawa's Cheat. There it is.
You can see Daniel shuffling through some humilities there as well.
Unsurprisingly.
Yeah.
Feels like a very bad matchup for Merfolk.
Yeah, this is not good.
Lundquist draws a Curse Catcher for the turn.
Two-headed giant players. Your parents for round 3 are now being posted. Two-headed giant players.
I mean, Ben has no choice but to just attack, and certainly can't sit around and wait now that there's the Flyers in play.
Yep. Gonna tap Stoneforge. Gonna come in with these guys.
Yeah, if I'm Daniel in this position, my #1 priority is preservation of life total.
Yep. You know, it's also nice too because, you know, if you're Daniel, you know that it's very, very, very unlikely that Ben has any way to do any extra damage with Reach. You know, no burn spells coming from this deck, so 13 is pretty safe, but he can take some damage, move down a little bit further, and still be okay.
Yep.
It's certainly appealing to want to be able to take care of some of these lords and reduce the size of the Merfolk, however.
Yeah, but once Batterskull gets on a flyer, you don't really have to worry about anything else.
Yeah.
So it looks like we're just chumping 1 and taking 1.
That looks to be the case. Dana's going to draw a card, draws the Swords of Plowshares. There's a Wasteland for his 5th land. And we'll see if he's going to pull the trigger on putting Batterskull on a guy here. Last time he tried this, there was a Dismember. And so there's a Batterskull on a Spirit token. All systems go. In for 4, gain 4 Vigilance. I'm not quite sure, Patrick, there's any coming back from this one now.
No, we've passed the point of no return.
To the side bench judge, please come up to the side bench stage. Side bench judge, to the side bench stage.
And Ben has fought admirably here, but this matchup is about as bad as you can imagine for Merfolk.
Yeah, every card, even a card that doesn't even seem like it would be that good, like Squadron Hawk, actually an issue because it flies.
Yep.
Just every card that Daniel has in his deck. And I'm trying to take a look here at a card that maybe, you know, if it was cast, Ben wouldn't care about. And it looks like there isn't any.
Mirren Crusader, kind of, is about it.
Yeah, that's like about it. And the first strike with the equipment, or the
It's
double
not
strike
even
with
horrible.
the equipment. Yeah, it's not even bad. So we're going to see Nuzawa's Jit now get put on that Spirit token that has a Batterskull, and Ben is going to pick him up. So Daniel Nowak does win the match 2-0 over Ben Lundquist, playing the Fishies.
Running into a Buzzsaw in black-white discard and equipment.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's going to move Nowak up to 5-0. Lundquist, that's going to be his first loss. He's going to move to 4-1. And someone asking on Twitter, Patrick, if we think that Sapphire Charm is a